I'm going to give you a huge life announcement that is going to change my life. It's going to change my family's life, and it's also going to change this YouTube channel forever. Oh, what's going on, everybody? Long time no see. It's been 7 or 8 months since I finished this home build, which was my last home build project. And unfortunately, we still got a little bit of time to go before my next project. So I figured it'd be a good time to do a check-in video, give you a little life update, tell you about some things that I've been working on in the past and some things I'm working on in the future. So in this video, I'm gonna actually go by my rental properties, which were my first 2 home builds. I gotta change the air filter in one of those. So we'll check those out, see how those are doing. It's been about 1.5 or 2 years since those have been finished. I'll also give you a tour of this dream home build and show you about some good things that are happening here in the home build and also some things that aren't going quite as well. If you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to give you a huge life announcement that is going to change my life. It's going to change my family's life, and it's also going to change this YouTube channel forever. So stay tuned for that. But first, I gotta go get a workout. Bye, baby. Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug, please? All right, go bye-bye. Can I have a hug, baby? No. Okay, give me a kiss. No. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Bye, Bubba. Bye, Mom. All right, so I'm about to pull up to the gym and thought I'd show you my cool fancy water bottle now. This is called the Echo Go. This water bottle here, maybe 67 cents. This water bottle here coming in at a whopping $350. So this is something promoted by a guy named Gary Brecka. I'm sure if y'all follow the UFC or if y'all are into fitness and health, y'all probably are aware of who he is. He's against Big Pharma and those kind of things. So this is a bottle that he promotes. It like balances the hydrogen, essentially converts regular water or tap water into hydrogen water. So you hit this button here and it does some bubbles and chemistry kind of stuff, and it balances or makes it a hydrogen water. It's supposed to be a lot better for you, a lot better than drinking regular tap water that apparently has imbalanced hydrogen levels or something like that. So I've been drinking it. Honestly, it's $350. I can't really tell that big of a difference. I can't tell it tastes like $350 water, but he recommends it, and I kind of like the stuff he says, so I've been drinking it. But right now we're about to pull up to my gym. It's about 7 or 8 minutes from my home. It's called Lifetime Fitness. If you don't know the gym, it's a massive gym. It's fairly expensive. I don't know, $350 probably for me and my wife and one kid to be on the membership. But it's got a spa, got a sauna, it's a massive gym. So I'll let y'all check it out. I'm gonna go get a quick workout in. That's how I've been starting most of my weekdays nowadays. In the past, I haven't really been able to take care of my health because I have been just grinding. You know, when you get out in the real world, get spit out in the real world with $0 in your bank account, and then all of a sudden you got a couple $1,000s to pay in bills as a 20-year-old, you got to make some stuff happen. And then with my goals, my very high goals, which I'll talk about later here in the video, I've got some high goals that require a lot of work, a lot of risk, a lot of big risk, and got to take some big steps to make it happen. So here's Lifetime. Massive place. But in the past couple years, I've just been putting in so much work, 15-16 hour work days into my life, that I've been sacrificing a lot of family time with my wife and my kids, and also sacrificing a lot of personal health, personal fitness kind of things. Therefore, I haven't been able to work out. But here, as of recently, I've been able to work out a lot, starting my weekdays off with a nice workout, taking care of myself. So I feel better, feel good, look good, play good. So let's go get this workout. All right, so I typically start all my workouts with a little run, whether that be a mile, mile and a half, 2 miles. I first really got back into the gym about 6 months ago. Previously, I played college football, and believe it or not, I was 250 pounds. 257 pounds was the heaviest I ever got. And I played a position called H-back, which was a mix between tight end and running back. It's called, it's like a versatile fullback, if you will. Therefore, I went into college at 180 pounds. I put on like 80 pounds in a year and a half and ended up starting 30 games at a D1 school. I was captain of the team 2 years. I was all conference honors. And I ended up breaking and holding, I still hold one record in that weight room, which was squat. I think it was 540 I squatted. And I was 5 pounds off the bench record for tight ends. And I was 10 pounds off the total record. Long story short, I was a big guy. So I've had some experience in the gym, but now I'm getting back into the gym. Of course, I want to take care of myself, take care of my body. The goal here is to live as long as possible. So that requires me to take care of myself, eat good food. That way I can be a part of my kids' life forever, try to outlive my kids, and then of course be a part of their kids' life and maybe even my great grandkids. So I typically start off my workout with a nice run. I feel like it really gets me warmed up. I try to push myself during the run. When I first started working out about 6 months ago, I tried to run like a 6 or 7 minute mile and I had to stop continuously, which was kind of disappointing. So today I'm gonna try to run a 6 minute mile for the video. I've been sick last week. I'm pretty sure I had COVID or something. My family was down in the dumps for 7-8 days. So I'm still kind of feeling a fatigue there. So I'm kind of working against all odds, but I'm gonna get a 6 minute mile in, or at least try. I got some extra pressure from the video. I don't know if I can do it, and then I'll get into arm day. Definitely, it's supposed to be leg day, but I'm not doing leg day for the camera. So we'll get a quick arm workout in, and then we'll go handle some business out in the field, try to find a big profitable home build deal. So let's get it. Before I start, I gotta get the playlist right though. I failed the 6 minute mile. A little disappointing, but I ran at a 6 minute pace. I just stopped twice and then turned it back on. But my thing is, if you can't run a 6 minute mile as a grown man, you need to get your life in line, get in the gym. So at least I feel good now. I'm gonna blame it on the coronavirus, like this lingering fatigue that it just does not allow your body to perform right. But now, let's go. Jacked. Whew. Time for the memories. How do I look now? See how I look in a couple years. Ow! Cramp. Calf cramp. You doing my hands?
That's what that girl did with my french fry that one time at the restaurant. Remember?
I'm taking my pills for the day. These are multivitamin from GNC. Pretty standard one, but we've been going by a lot of what Gary Brecka says, and he says to take a specific multivitamin.
Methylated.
A methylated multivitamin, which is different from what I take. So we should be on that soon. But this is actually from a brand that he recommends called Perfect Aminos. And this is the 8 essential amino acids that you need to be able to build muscle and function as a human. And I have to take 10 of these a day. So these are pretty large pills, but don't bother me. That's all the pills I've taken a day, plus 5 more of these at night. And he says that, I guess, what does he say? Protein is kind of a waste. Your body doesn't convert all the protein you take in a big protein drink into muscle without the 8 essential amino acids. So that's what this does here. It's only 20 grams of protein, but it gives you everything you need to convert your protein into muscle or whatever. So that's what I'm taking right now. I need to educate myself some more in it, but pretty high on Gary Brecka at the moment, so that's why I'm taking them. And then here we got some of Mama's fine cooking. What do you call this, baby?
Stuffed peppers.
We got stuffed peppers. One thing, we changed my diet actually about 6 months ago. Whenever I really started getting into the gym, me and my wife, we changed not only my diet, but my wife's diet and my whole family's diet, in that we stopped eating processed foods, zero processed foods, zero fast food. We really don't eat any fast food, maybe other than Cane's, like once every 2 months it seems like. All we eat is my wife cooks pretty much every day. She cooks dinner, she cooks lunch. And we eat foods like this, where it's literally vegetables, meat, cheese, and it's foods that it's whole foods, no processed foods, and foods that consist of like one ingredient. So flour, butter, meat, vegetables, bananas, fruits, and then literally all I drink is water and coffee. So no sugar in my diet either, and all to try to live a healthier life. So dig in. So my wife corrected me, the perfect aminos have 30 grams of protein, not 20. But this specific meal is a bell pepper stuffed with rice, ground beef, and topped with cheese. So as you can imagine, very healthy, rich in fats, vegetables, protein, carbs. Got it all to get jacked and be healthy. So what did I leave out?
Onions, garlic, beans, seasoning,
Well,
serrano.
baby, I know the recipe. I created it, okay? That's my sous chef. I'm just the head chef. I just don't do the real work in the kitchen. See you later. So we just pulled into a new development where I made a connection with a developer who is developing these acreage communities. Right now, the first section, look at that right there, roof loading the shingles on that very steep roof. Wow. So as I was saying, I made a connection with a developer here who has developed thousands of acres here into what is going to be an acreage community. And this is a community where they have cleared the pavement, the roads, they've put in the ditches, they've put in the utilities, and the first section out of 5 sections in this entire acreage development, which consists of roughly 150 available lots, is ready to start building. And as of right now, there's only about 20 homes that have gotten started, and they're all about halfway through construction, it appears. Some of them have just started the foundations. And all of these acreages, all of these lots are roughly 1 acre to 2 acre properties. So I'm interested in building in this community. There's a community right up the street, roughly a minute up the street, which is finished by the exact same developer, which is a beautiful community consisting of $1.5 to $2.5 million finished homes. And that one is fairly built out, although the Architectural Control Committee is ran by the actual homeowners association, and they have implemented, even though it's the same developer, the building requirements have got handed off from the developer to the HOA, and the HOA has implemented a rule where for a builder to be qualified to build in that established subdivision, they must have built 3 homes within the past 2 years equal to like $1.5 million in value. Well, as you very well may know, if you're a viewer of this channel, I've only built 1 home in the $1.25 million range, so I don't meet that requirement to be able to develop there. But luckily for me, right up the street, I connected with a developer, and there's actually about 12 to 15 lots still available in this first section of lots. Out of the 115 or something that they were selling, there's only about 10 or 15 left, so I got in at a perfect time. The next section will not be developed and ready for construction for about a year, actually 15 months. So I got in at the right time, and I'm looking at 3 lots today, and this development will look almost identical to the development right up the street with those beautiful acreage homes 1.5 to $2 million homes. So right now I'm going to go check out 2 or 3 lots that the developer has sent me that are good shape lots, and they're all going for roughly $270,000 to $330,000. And the 3 that I'm going to be looking at today are roughly 1.5 to 1.9 acres. This one being the first one. It looks to be off of the main road, which is great. A lot of people, I believe, are going to desire to be off of the main road going through the community. They're going to want to be off of a little cul-de-sac, as this one is here. But my first concern with this one is not necessarily that it's wooded, because honestly they're all wooded and they're going to take some heavy clearing work during the site prep phase of the construction. But my first concern is the slope. If you look right here down the middle, there is a drainage easement that splits the property on the left and the property on the right. And the drainage easement really isn't the problem. The problem here is that where water runs, whenever it's like this, it typically comes with slope. So all the water from up at the top of the hill is going to be running down this property. This property is on a pretty severe slope. And from my bare eye, I know that this property, I looked at the plat, the community plat. This property is roughly 400 to 500 foot in length. So 400 foot in length is all the way as far as we can see down in the bottom of that drainage easement. And from my bare eye, I can see that the elevation down there in the bottom of the ditch is probably about 6 foot lower than as we sit right here. And the problem that brings as a developer is when we clear this land, there's going to be an extreme slope. And we have to bring in dirt, level out the building pad for the house and the pool. And that, whenever you need to bring in 6 foot of dirt for a 7,000 foot building pad, there's also going to be more extensive grading going on around the property for more dirt work required. You're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, we're talking tens and tens in the upper tens of thousands of dollars, probably $60,000, $70,000 worth of dirt work, just because of how sloped it is. Also on top of that, whenever you talk about building up a dirt pad 6 foot tall, then there becomes a requirement for what's called a retaining wall to hold in all that extra dirt to keep it from washing out, to protect the integrity of the foundation. So you talk about putting in a several 100 foot retaining wall that goes up 4, 5, 6 foot tall on the back of the house. Now you're looking at another $50,000 for a retaining wall. So it's very important to come out to the properties you're considering evaluating, purchasing, to develop and build a house on, to really weigh these different factors. This property looks great because it's off a cul-de-sac, but without even getting out of the truck, I see it's on a major slope, which would probably have roughly $100,000 in dirt work and retaining wall requirements. So I'm gonna throw on my boots, go out here, give the property a walk, and see if there's anything else that comes up that raises any red flags, and then we'll go check out the others. So coming off the street here, one requirement to develop this kind of property as a builder, as you can see, this is called a bar ditch, and it would require the installation of a culvert, and then of course the entrance over the culvert, the driveway over the culvert. And some places you don't have to do that because there are concrete curbs with underground drainage systems. Here the drainage system is actually ditches that go along the street and then follow down that drainage easement and ultimately lead into some very large holding tank or some big lake or a river. So it's just something to be aware of whenever you're evaluating a property. I'm going to be building a home on it. Well, does it have a ditch? If so, you're going to have to install a concrete culvert or a plastic corrugated culvert and then build your driveway over the top of it, which is a substantial expense on a project like this, a 20-foot wide concrete culvert with special material to set it on called stabilize, as well as building the driveway over it. Could be an additional probably $5,000 expense on a project like this. So that's what this developer has installed here. So there's no choice as to what kind of culvert would be installing a culvert here. And luckily it appears they've already done a little bit of clearing, probably for potential buyers to come walk the property, or maybe some surveyors whenever they did the original plat did a little bit of clearing. So luckily we don't have to walk through anything too thick. But I'm just going to be taking a stroll here, seeing if there's anything out of the ordinary that doesn't come up on their community plat map that they have provided to me. In different situations, whenever you're building like an infill project somewhere already in an established community or neighborhood, you're going to be keeping your your eye out for things like crazy neighbors or crazy situations where someone may be polluting the air with a plant right next door that would affect the resale, or maybe there's a trashy convenience store right next door that has a bunch of hobos outside of it. Those things kind of affect the resale. Other than that, you know, here in this specific situation, I'm just walking, checking for mainly slope and any other major red flags that may come up. So pretty chill thing to do. Let's take a stroll. Little natural creek coming right through here, but that shouldn't be anything major. You definitely, whenever you build in rural areas that have drainage easements and creeks and things of that sort, you cannot obstruct the natural flow of water in dedicated creeks. Those have to remain. So just keep that in mind. If a creek is there, you're likely not going to be able to just fill in the creek with water, because the water has to go somewhere in a natural drainage creek. But you can see it's pretty thick, a lot of trees. We're talking hundreds of trees on this 1.5 acre property. And that's going to require some substantial tree clearing from my site prep subcontractor, but big freaking $300,000 excavator. It's going to make easy work of it. The main thing I'm noticing on this property, which obviously I noticed from the street, is just the slope. This is a property, in comparison, if I can find 1.5 acres that's still available, that's flat off a cul-de-sac, it would save me an additional $100,000 in dirt work and retaining wall work. So this property here is listed at $305,000, similar to the others in price. As I walk through, the main thing I observed is obviously a pretty drastic slope requiring a lot of dirt work, also probably a retaining wall, which can be a pro because it can add some architectural elements and make the house look really cool with slope. But then again, it affects the profit directly, and I'm not willing to make the sacrifice on profit for that. So I'm going to be hoping that one of these other properties is not on a 7-foot slope over a 500-foot run. We can find one a little more flat that will lower our site prep cost. Other than that, it looked good. I'm sure all of them have these woods. None of them have been underbrushed. They're all going to be thick with trees. The utilities seem to be in and probably ready to connect whenever construction is finished. So let's go check out the others, and hopefully we can find one a little flatter than this. So here is the next lot that I'm looking at, and it's also at the end of a cul-de-sac, and it is on the right. Actually, both of these at the end of the cul-de-sac are still available. Hopefully I'm not in this guy's way. He's trying to dust the street. Okay, so these two lots are available for sale, both priced at $279,000. So a little cheaper than the first property that I looked at. And from the topo map, I could see that the one on the left has a creek running down the back side of it. And I don't think creeks are that appealing. So right off the bat, that one kind of crosses that one out. It has a little more favorable shape because you could put the house a little closer to the cul-de-sac, to the street, and have less of a driveway, which would save on construction cost. But just by looking at the map, one thing I'm interested in for a community like this is possibly placing the house fairly far off the street and giving it a rather long entry, rather long driveway, and giving it a really grand feeling. Once you pull off this cul-de-sac, you have a little privacy with some trees and some screening from the street, and you pull down that driveway, you're gonna get hit in the face with a big, grand house with a long entryway. That way you can appreciate the curb appeal of the house as you pull down your driveway. So that's kind of my vision for this project so far. This is really fresh on my mind. So I'm gonna get out and go check out the one I think is gonna fit my vision for this kind of home build the best. Let's go check it out. It does appear that it has a drainage easement that is shared by both of these properties as well. But from the bare eye, I can tell that this one even has a longer run, and it seems to drop less. This one may only drop the course of maybe 2 or 3 feet in comparison to 6 or 7 or 8 feet like that other one did. So it would definitely have a less cost on dirt work and possibly the elimination of a need of a retaining wall. So let's go check it out. So the first thing I'm noticing, we have the electric pedestal here. We have, says right on the top, fiber optic cable utility. So it looks like utilities are in. There is a yellow line right here, which I'm not sure. Yellow usually stands for gas, which that's probably just some extra material because it doesn't have any line ran in it or anything like that. Now walking this lot, instantly I'm noticing it is much, much flatter. I'm already probably 25, 30 feet off the street, and there's not really been maybe 6 inches drop in elevation, which is great for natural drainage and natural grading, and will eliminate the need for a significant amount of dirt work and the need for a retaining wall. This property has not been underbrushed, doesn't appear, so there's quite a bit of thick brush. Also, some very mature trees that are gonna need to be taken out, but literally grabbing that with an excavator, like I said, takes nothing with an expensive machine. So I'm liking this property a lot when it comes to slope and development cost on the site prep. So using my lot purchase checklist, which is what I provide in my How to Build a House masterclass and inside my Build Club community, I can run through the different factors that need to be evaluated whenever you're purchasing a piece of raw land to build a house on it. This list lists every factor that you should consider, so I'll run through the main ones, starting with location. Of course, you have to consider location whenever you're building a house to sell it, and this one is in a thriving location. Since it's an acreage community, it's a little bit further out from the city, but it's about 5 minutes from a brand new development where they're building all of this retail, H-E-B, grocery stores, Lowe's is going in, dining. So very convenient in that regard, but it's an acreage community, so it's a little bit further out. It's perfect in terms of location. Next is zoning. Of course, it's a residential development, therefore it's zoned for residential home builds, not commercial. Next is community building restrictions. I've already made myself aware that of the Architectural Control Committee and the minimum construction standards required to build a house here, such as the house has to be 95 foot wide, it has to meet a certain square footage, it all has to have masonry on the exterior, and I'm aware of the costs that are associated with that, and I'll go over those here in a second. Next is accessibility for material suppliers. It's no problem for a material supplier to drive down the perfectly brand new paved roads to deliver material here. I'll put that on the list because, of course, if you're building a property several miles off of a road and you're gonna have to build and maintain that temporary driveway to get the material suppliers to and from, managing and maintaining that temporary driveway over the course of a mile long to get material from your street to your house could cost you tens of thousands of dollars throughout the process. So here, that's not a problem whatsoever. Next is building envelope. That is whenever you purchase a property, you get a survey done on that property, and that survey will tell you what the building envelope is for that specific property. Sometimes on small properties, whether it be narrow lots and long lots, your building envelope is going to shape your house directly. Well, here this is an acre, 1.51 acres, I believe. Therefore, it's a pretty massive property, and it's not going to be any problem whatsoever fitting that home within the building envelope here on this big acreage property. Next is topography. Is the lot flat or sloped? If the lot has slope, will you need to build a retaining wall or add an extreme a lot of fill dirt? Well, here, this is my preferred one so far because it's pretty flat. It only drops the course of maybe 3 or 4 feet over a 500-foot run. That's dropping 1 foot in elevation every 100-foot in run. So natural grade is great. It'll have a front to back drainage, and there's not gonna be that much need in terms of dirt work, and there won't be a retaining wall, at least that I'm aware of, so that's great. Next is cleared or uncleared. Obviously this one is uncleared, and it's gonna take quite a bit of site work to get everything cleared and ready for the vertical construction. And I'm aware that obviously there's a cost that comes with that, probably be somewhere around 15 grand to do this property. Next is flood zone. This property is not located in a flood zone, although out of the 115 lots that were available in section 1 of this development, there were like 3 or 4 that did have a portion of the property located in a flood zone, which would affect the development process when you go through to build that home. You'd go through different permitting processes. You'd be required to build the home a little bit differently. And also it would affect the insurability of the home. You'd be required to carry flood insurance on that home if a piece of that property is in the flood zone. At least that's handled in my area. Therefore, that will affect the resale of the property, and I don't want that property. I think the 4 or 5 that have a flood zone, on a piece of the property are still available, and that's for a reason. Nobody wants them. I sure as hell don't. Next is nuisance, disturbance, inconveniences. This is a brand new development, acreage. There ain't no nuisances, no developments, no bad neighbors, no criminal activity going on in the area or anything like that. Next is permit cost. To permit a single family home build in this area, the building permit from the county is going to be like $250. And then I'm going to have to get a permit to put in a septic system because there is not city sewer here. Therefore, I have to have my own private septic system. That permit is going to cost like $150. So in terms of real permitting cost, probably about $350 to $400 in permitting costs. Extremely cheap in comparison to most of America. Although I will have to submit an application to the Architectural Control Committee to get the building plans and development approved, to make sure my design is in compliance with the requirements here in the community. And that cost is $12,000, dagger in the heart, but it is like 80% refundable. So if all goes well, I don't damage the roads or the community or anything like that, they give me $8,000 back. So in the end, it would only cost me about $4,000. Next is driveway connection and public sidewalk. There is no need for a public sidewalk, so I won't have to incur that cost to put in a public sidewalk. And also, the driveway connection is a culvert, as I already mentioned here in the video. Probably cost me somewhere around $3,000 to install that culvert. Next is insurability. Is your future home insurable for the rate you can afford if you can build here? This is going to be a normal insurable house. Not on the coast with an extreme amount of winds, not in a flood zone with extremely high flood insurance, not near the bayou or by a lake or river where that could affect the insurability, not super high winds here. So no problem in terms of insurability. Lastly is utilities. Does the lot have all the utilities available and ran to the site? Gas, water, sewer, electric, telecommunications. We saw gas at the front of the property. We saw water at the front of the property. It doesn't have sewer because I'd have to install my own private septic system, which would handle the sewer of the home. We saw electric at the front of the property, and we saw telecommunications at the front of the property. So this lot really checks out when it comes to the lot purchase checklist. Now it's just all about the numbers. So let's get out of here, and then I'll give you a summary of what the profit could be on a development of this size. Let's go check it out. So I just evaluated 3 potential lots here in this development, and if I were to move forward with one of the 3, this would most definitely be my favorite one. I think it fits the vision and also fits the profit that I'm shooting for. So let's go over what the numbers could possibly be if this were an investment I were to take on. So the land itself is 1.5 acres and is listed for $279,000. Of course, if I were to move forward with attempting to purchase it, I would negotiate and try to get a better deal on it. But let's just use $280,000 for the land cost. Next is going to be the cost to actually develop and build the home, which for a development like this, I would be putting on somewhere around a 5,000 square foot house with a 3-car garage, back porch, front porch, and also a pool in the back. You add up the construction cost there, you're gonna be all in this project, including the land cost, the construction cost, the finance cost, including the bank, and then closing costs when you sell the home, right around $1.4 million. And on a 5,000 square foot house in this area, that home should resell for approximately $1.9 to $2 million. So $2 million minus your cost, it's gonna leave you right around $500,000 in net profit. Now, if I get a banger deal on the land, and if I were to do a banger deal on the design and the construction, manage my costs, there's a chance I could even get a more profitable deal than what I just described. But I think this is probably safe to say, if you max out the square footage, build a big, nice house with a pool in the back and do a good job, it's probably safe to say I would profit north of $500,000 on this one single deal, considering it would only take 8 to 10 months to build it and probably resell it within 10 months. I think that's definitely a potential. So I'm excited about it and definitely considering. Stay tuned. So I just entered a community where I built my very first 2 homes. I'm pulling up to them right now. I need to change the air filter in both of these homes. One of the tenants is allowing me to do it today. The other one, unfortunately, is not available. So let's hop out of the truck and take a look at them, get a little update on these projects. If you're new here, then obviously these are new homes to you. But if you're not new here, you're an OG, then you know very well about both of these homes. So let's take a look at them. So these were my very first 2 home builds. They were both build to rent. I bought this piece of land. It was like 9,000 square feet, and it came with 2 buildable lots. Therefore, this lot specifically is 4,500 square foot. The other one is 4,500 square foot, and it allowed me to build my first 2 homes. These are obviously fairly simple single family homes. They have a little different design. Try to put my own touch on them. But let's talk a little bit about the numbers and what these investments have done for me. So this is the power of build to rent. I bought the land here for 55 grand, split it in 2. Therefore, each piece of land was roughly cost me 27 grand. Well, I built these 2 homes. My all-in cost on this specific property was $227,000. When it was all said and done, the bank came out and appraised it, and they put a value on it worth $305,000. I financed this home build using my own personal resources, being cash and credit cards. So whenever the bank appraised it for $305,000, they gave me a cash out refinance. At 75% of that value, I was able to recoup $230,000. So I was able to get all of my original investment out of this property that I used to then go build the second property. Well, this property specifically, I have roughly $80,000 in equity in this property, and one tenant occupied this property since the beginning, about 2 years ago, and they've been an incredible tenant. I take care of the yard maintenance. They do a great job on the inside. She has like every room staged. I go in there and change the air filters, occasionally do some own inspections of my own to make sure the property is in good standing. And it's been a great property so far. Right now, the mortgage, interest, so principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and landscape maintenance cost averages roughly $2,350 a month. And this tenant right now pays $2,800 a month. So roughly $300 to $400 in cash flow or something like that. And I built it because I wanted to get experience as a home builder, not necessarily because I knew it was just going to be this banger investment, even though it turned out good. Cash flow's $300-400 a month right now, even with a 7.5% interest rate. I have $80,000 in equity in it that I could sell it at any time and capture that in equity. So this was the first one. Exterior is holding up good. All I've had to do maintenance-wise is some work in the landscape. I kind of put quite a bit of plants there in the beginning, and since then they have kind of died. So since then I've put some Japanese yews, and then up at the top, one design element is I put that fake grass, which may not have been the best decision coming from an inexperienced builder and designer, because that fake grass was like $500 and it will probably have to get replaced whenever it goes to be sold, if I sell it soon, or just want to replace it whenever it looks bad enough. So anyways, the property looks great there. That was my first home build. Coming over to my second home build, this property, very similar to the first, obviously, same lot size. This one, I was all in cost $250,000. But for some reason, whenever I went to get the cash out refinance, the appraiser came out and thought this property was worth $430,000, meaning $135,000 more than the one right next door. It's very similar in size. I mean, that one might be like 1,500 square foot. This one might be like 1,700. So this one appraised for a much higher price. I did some nicer finishes in it, did tile floor. I did a metal roof on the house, asphalt shingle on that one. So since this one appraised for $430,000, and it only cost me $250,000 of an investment to build, I was able to get a cash out refinance, and instead of taking out the full 75%, which I could have, I think I took out maybe like $270,000. So even though it only cost me $250,000, I was able to then take out $270,000 in equity. Therefore, I got paid like $20,000 or $30,000 to build this house when it's all said and done. And as a summary on the long-term numbers right now, my mortgage on this property is roughly $2,400-2,500, and they pay like $2,950. So again, this one cash flows roughly $500 a month. It's an appreciating asset in a great area, very close to a very nice area just a couple minutes away. Great location, they're appreciating, cash flowing, great tenants. This tenant signed up like a year and a half ago, and they extended their lease for like 2 years, and they take very well care of it. Other than the cash flow aspect and the appreciating aspect and the equity that I have in them, these two properties have provided me a significant amount in tax savings. Quick backstory, one thing that happened to me whenever I got into the real world, my first year as a business owner, I profited $350,000 as a roofing business owner. I then turned around and had to write a $97,000 check to the IRS. Now, as a 22-year-old individual, that was a real learning lesson from myself, where it was tough to sleep that night, but I got over it, wrote the check, moved on, and said, how do I keep that from happening the next year? Well, the next year I made a similar amount of money the following year from my roofing business, and I also acquired these two rental properties. Now, what that allowed me to do is something called a cost segregation study, and that is where you accelerate the depreciation on paper, you take a big loss on paper, which will then use to offset your income and reduce your tax liability. So even though I made the same amount of profit in my bank account that next year from my roofing business, since I acquired these and did what's called that cost segregation study, it reduced my tax liability from what would have been $97,000, give or take, if I didn't acquire these, to that year I think I paid like $17,000 in taxes. So each one saved me, I don't know, 25 grand, 30 grand in taxes, and then I did some other things strategically to reduce my tax liability. So that's the power of cost segregation, power of accelerated depreciation, and the power of owning rental properties. You kind of don't hear that anywhere, but that's how it works. That's how these people make a lot of money. They make millions and millions of dollars, and then they acquire these long-term investments, and they do cost segregation studies to accelerate the depreciation, write their income way down, and then they don't pay any taxes. So that's the secret to how the rich never pay taxes, even while they're making millions of dollars. So this tenant is not home, so I can't replace the air filter, but this other one is. So we're gonna go inside, and I'll meet you in the attic where we're gonna change the air filter. And in this home, I did fiberglass insulation, and I did a vented attic space with fiberglass blown in insulation there. In this home, I did spray foam insulation, open cell spray foam. So I'm curious to see what that open cell spray foam looks like in the attic. I haven't been in there since we finished construction, so who knows, might be a mold fest. I surely hope not, because I heard there's some scares about there, but it is a conditioned attic space. So I'll catch you inside the attic. So this is actually a very small attic, which is fine. Just enough room. One of the HVAC contractors, a lot of the times, the ones I work with, what they say is, why is your roof pitch so low? Because that gives them a very difficult place to work up here when it comes to fitting the ductwork in the unit. Because obviously this is only about 4 foot worth of clearance. But one thing, as I mentioned, I did spray foam insulation in this rental property, which obviously cost more. I think the home over there might have only cost like $1,500 or $1,800 to insulate, whereas this one may have cost like $3,500. So almost double the cost for open cell spray foam insulation, but it makes the home much more efficient. It prolongs the lifespan of this HVAC system, because instead of these ducts running through an unconditioned attic space, here in Texas, temperatures get to 100 degrees. Attic temperatures specifically, if it's a vented attic space, they get to 150 degrees, especially if it's not vented properly. Well, by insulating this attic space, I've conditioned the attic space, meaning that this system actually provides air into this space to regulate the temperature. So instead of having an attic space with a temperature of 150 degrees, the temperature in here is fairly comfortable, about 10 degrees different than what it is in the actual house. So that is going to allow these ducts, this system, to not work as hard to push air-conditioned air through a 150 degree attic and then spit it into the house at 70 degrees. Instead, it just pushes the air through a 80, 75 degree attic and down into a 70 degree house. So I was excited to see what this looks like. This is my first time ever doing spray foam insulation, and there is a lot of people who talk about the mold, the moisture being an issue, and mold forming in the attic and then creeping down into the walls and crevices of the house, but I don't see any mold whatsoever. One thing I do see here, which I'm going to take a photo of, is there is quite a bit of water here in this drain pan on the furnace system. So there's water here. I don't really want to touch it, but yeah, there's definitely water there, and it appears it's been there for a very long time. Some buildup. So I don't think that is normal, but I'm no HVAC pro. So I think that drain pan is supposed to be completely dry. So I'll most certainly get that checked out, but let me replace this air filter. This is an April air filter, and something for you guys to learn. If you've never done this before, I've always been familiar with replacing normal air filters that are rectangular. You kind of take off, open the freaking door, stick the air filter on, and then close the door. This one's a little bit different. This is a April Air accordion style air filter. So it comes like this, and it opens up. And I'm hopeful that it fits, because this is my first time changing this one. Typically, I just have the HVAC company come out and change it. These do not have to be changed quite as often, but man, this one is dirty. It's been about maybe a year since I've changed this. So bad on me as a homeowner, but wow, look at that, boys. That is dirty. Look at the difference between the two. Whew. So safe to say this one needed to be changed. So let's go ahead and get this changed. I should have paid attention as to which way it came out, because these do have to go in a certain way. Oh, fuck. Airflow goes that way. Yeah, it certainly does. Please be the right size. Is that in? All right, bear with me. The AC turned on, and it needs to be off for me to do this, but it's all right. There we go. All right, air filter is replaced. Most definitely needed to be. I got to get that issue checked on. But let's get out of here. We'll go check out my third rental property in the same community. So those are my first two rentals, and then this here on the right is my third rental, which is honestly, in my opinion, a badass house. We got the Japanese yew plants on the right, which have now grown to 7.5, 8 feet tall. Japanese yews on the left as well. Got some cool landscaping, and then obviously a fairly modern, sleek looking house. Tile on the exterior, hardy siding around it. Got a 10-foot gate on a 12,000 square foot lot. So super cool home right there. And that was a home that me and my wife bought right when we moved to Houston. And we were able to secure a 3% interest rate, like, I don't know, 3.25, 3.5, 3% interest rate. And it is now worth, we bought it for $385, and we have put like $10,000 down. We did a FHA loan, and we have since paid off the mortgage and the principal down to $330,000. That is what we owe on the property. But we bought it for $385, and it has appreciated over $100,000 since we purchased it just 3 or 4 years ago. There's a comp that sold identical floor plan. I didn't build that one, I just bought it. A comp sold with the identical floor plan on a similar lot at $499,000. Therefore, we know we could sell ours. I actually put like $50,000 into the backyard patio, built that real tall fence in the back, and made the house look really nice. Did some upgrades on the interior as well. So it's probably worth a little more than $500,000, but let's call it $500,000 value. I could sell it for $500,000 at any point. I owe $330,000, so do the math. I have probably over $170,000 in that rental property as well. That is the home that I moved out of last year to move into my dream home property, which this is my first year renting it out, or actually last year was in 2024. And again, last year, I did a cost segregation study on that rental property, and that rental property last year saved me probably $20,000-$30,000 in tax payment to the IRS. So love that benefit. And then the numbers on that investment are right now the mortgage, insurance, taxes, maintenance, and everything comes out to around $2,315 a month. I think that's what it is in my brain, $2,315. And then they rent it out for $3,050. So that property there cash flows probably $750 a month. And then of course it's in a great area. It's an appreciating asset going up in value, as you just heard. Went up over $100,000 value in 4 years. That means I'm just making money by holding the property. And that's the game of real estate. So just wanted to give you all an update on my first 2 home builds and the 3 rental properties I own here in the area. Honestly, I have considered selling them and cashing out on the equity, because if I were to sell all 3, I'd get $170,000 from that rental property, roughly 120 from the other, 120 from the other. I'd get it all in probably somewhere between $350,000, $425,000 of cash into my bank account that I could then take, and I need to do some homework to see if I could 1031 exchange that money into a piece of vacant land. That way I don't pay capital gains tax on those gains, and then go build a investment, sell it, make $500,000, another $500,000 or more, and then keep repeating. So I'm not sure exactly what I'll do. As of right now, I'm holding them until the right opportunity comes up, and until I do some homework to see exactly what I want to do with them. I'll keep holding them because they're cash flowing, got good tenants in them. There's no need to sell just yet, but maybe I will in the future. So let's head back home. Hopefully my wife is in the kitchen whipping up some dinner. Go see my 2 kids, and I'll tell you the real deal, what I have been up to the past couple months, the past several months since I finished my last home build, since y'all really stopped seeing me. Tell you about some goals I have in mind for this year, and my just overall my life goals, and some things that have changed in my life, and then most importantly, a life-changing announcement. So stay tuned for that. Well, if you're new here, you won't notice a difference. If you're an OG, you will notice. The backyard, behind the fence, is what lies behind the fence. Oh, what a disaster. So let me tell you about what happened here at the house. I'm going to give a little home tour to give some updates on some things looking good, some things not looking too good here at the house. But clearly you can see, not too happy about what is taking place behind my home. So we moved in. And this is a 1 acre property. Behind me is some more 1 acre lots. And that was all woods. It was a vacant property. Built this house, had this nice private backyard, had a pool, got all this stuff. Come out here, hang out in the backyard, butt naked if we wanted to. And had nothing to look at but some woods. So peaceful. Well, we move in, and not a month after I move in, they start tearing down trees right behind me here on my backyard, my peaceful backyard. So we've been living here, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 months, and y'all can call me petty, or me and my wife petty or whatnot, but this was a disaster of an experience. Building this house, yeah, nice, we've enjoyed it, but what a disaster. Move in, and then your peacefulness, your privacy gets taken away, right? So having experienced that firsthand, bought this 1 acre nice property in a gated community, thought I was gonna get all this peace and quiet. And then that last 7, 8 months having to watch this guy build this house, still not done, probably got another month and a half. Just experiencing that firsthand has made me realize I don't want an acre property in a gated community, in an HOA. So since then, my vision for what I really want as a primary residence has changed, especially after having kids and seeing how much they mean to me, how much I want to protect them. I want a freaking family compound. So more on that later. I'll talk about what my real life goals are to give you a quick update on that, because this was my dream. It ain't my dream now. So I'm going to take a seat and I'll tell you about what I've really been up to the past couple months. So obviously it's been some time since I've been active here on YouTube. Several months. I finished this home in June. It is now freaking March of the following year. So it's been 7, 8 months. And since I finished that home build, I carried out some content on the home build. But for the better half of the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025, I have been attempting to sell my close all the contracts in my roofing business and sell my roofing business to exit the roofing business. And it has been a disaster. One that cost me several $1,000s in attorney fees. I found an end buyer. Originally, he was going to purchase the business for like $225,000. I was happy with it because it was a small operation. I was an owner-operator. I wore all the hats in the business. And the business really isn't worth much when it comes to selling and exiting the business unless you have systems and people in place to operate the business without the owner involved. So for someone to buy my owner-operator roofing business and me not be involved anymore, how much is it really worth? Well, not much. Well, I ended up finding the guy who was going to buy it for $225,000, went under contract. This was a 3-4 month process. He had the SBA involved, yada, yada. Signed contracts, literally. Ended up getting to the closing day. Terms had changed so much. I'd amended the contract so many times to get to just something. I just wanted something, move on. Cover my attorney fees, I'll get a little profit, move on. It got to the closing day, he calls me and says, oh, I can't buy the business, I ain't got the money, I bought another business, yada, yada. So that guy, he deserves to learn a real lesson. I decided not to pursue that lesson and file suit and chase a penny whenever I'm focused on making a dollar. So I decided to actually close my roofing business, which is crazy because to this day, I still have my Google My Business profile up. I need to close it. And there are people calling me weekly, every other week, and I know it's just money that I'm passing up. But it's in effort and vision to focus on something that's going to be much more profitable, which is included in the announcement I'm going to get to here shortly. So I've been doing that. I've been wrapping up, closing my roofing business. I've been enjoying my family a little bit. We have an addition to the family here. This is Case Lucas Robinson II, Case Lucas Robinson Jr. And this is my junior, this is my heir. He's gonna get everything. Sorry, baby Luca, but he's gonna get it all. He's gonna run my businesses whenever I leave, and he's gonna get everything. So I've been taking him in. He's now 4 months old. Baby Luca now was just this size whenever we started building the home, and now she's 2 years old. So I've been enjoying some time with them the past couple months, trying to close my roofing business, and more importantly, planning and preparing for the year of 2025. So I know I just explained I didn't sell my roofing business, but that was just to tell you what I've been wasting my time with over the past couple months, which is not a big deal. I'm not worried about it whatsoever. I'm in a great place financially. I'm in a great place with my family, health, physically. So I'm closing the chapter on my roofing book. It's got me to where I'm at now. Just don't need it anymore. So I'm going to close that door officially and move into the next chapter of my life. And the next chapter of my life is something regarding the announcement, which I'm going to get to very soon. But before that, I want to give you some pretext and what went into making this big decision that I'm going to tell you about, and that is just my life goals. Obviously, this is a great property for a 27-year-old who started with nothing and had nothing in the beginning just 4 or 5 years ago. To get to this point, living in a $1.25 million house, pretty big, got some features. Great place for me and my family, to say the least, but I have massive goals, and since I took on this project, my goals and dreams have changed dramatically. Considering the experience I had right in the backyard and some others. So let me tell you about those. So obviously I have 2 kids. I have a beautiful wife, and she is an incredible wife at that. You gotta definitely prioritize who you decide to partner with in life, because they will affect a lot of how your life works. So she's an incredible wife. I have 2 kids, and there is nothing more in life than I love than these 2 kids. And if we're blessed enough to receive more, I would love to grow this family as big as humanly possible. Now, obviously, there's going to be some restriction on that, whether that be 3, 4, 5, or 6. I would love to have as many kids as possible. And that leads me kind of into my next goal, which is based not so much around financial goals, but just based on the life I want to give my family and give that sweetheart and give this boy here and to my other kids to come and my wife, is that I want much bigger than this. And home is such an important thing to me and my family because it's where we spend a lot of our time. And a home provides memories, it provides security, it provides privacy, it provides all these things that are extremely important to me and I put my family first. So with that, what I'm really working towards here in the foreseeable future, meaning within the next 5 years, is I want around 50 to 100 acres of wooded land relatively close to this nice area that I live in already. And I want to buy that land. I want to be able to develop it, build our real dream house we want on it, with a house that we can truly go into that has all the amenities and features that I want it to have for me to be able to grow my family and make memories that will last forever. Be a household family and property that will be in my family, maybe for generations. That's kind of what I'm working to. Of course, I want to pull in the back. I would love to be able to develop the property into having its own home gym, having all these different things on the property, continuously developing it, building a lake on the property so that we can put fish in it, swim in it, those kind of things. Another thing that's really important to me, which is a goal of mine and something I'm really interested in doing, is, you okay, Bubba? Got the hiccups, is getting my pilot license, my helicopter license. Not only do I want to learn how to fly helicopters and planes, I want to own them myself. So part of buying that family compound in 50 acres is putting a runway on it, buying my own plane, putting a plane hangar in it, and storing my airplane, and being able to fly off my land whenever I want, take my family wherever I want, whenever I want, inside that airplane. Also buying a helicopter. I want to learn how to fly a helicopter. I want to buy a helicopter. I want to store it on my own property. That way I'm not restricted from the world in any regard. So those are my real goals. Pretty ambitious for what I would, I think they're ambitious goals for a 27-year-old, but ultimately that's what I'm working towards. And I have to take some pretty big risks, some pretty big steps to make all that happen within the next 5 years to get from where I'm at now to make all that happen. And that leads me into my big announcement, which I'm ecstatic for, I'm blessed for, and I'm just so happy to say it. And that is that, obviously, y'all probably guessed it, I'm now going full-time as a home builder, which will allow me to bring much more content your way. So I'm going to be scaling the home building side of things. As y'all saw in this video, I have pretty big goals in place for my next project, moving to a project where I could profit north of $500,000. And then of course you talk about scaling the home building side of things to where maybe you scale it more than that. You're building something trying to make $750,000 on each. And maybe instead of doing one at a time, you start doing 2 or 3 or 4 of those at a time, and things will add up quickly. And I hope to be able to get to those goals of buying that property here within the next maybe 2-3 years, which are rather ambitious, because just acquiring the property is honestly going to probably cost around $3 to $4 million. So to get there is going to take some work, but I would love to do the work, capture it here on camera, put it all out for you to see how I've done it, and then go buy that property and develop all that property here on my channel as well. So I definitely would not be in this situation without you all. I want to say thank you very much. I appreciate you. Hopefully y'all find value in the content I put out, which I know you do because I get that kind of feedback, and I appreciate y'all. So now let's give a quick house tour on what the current condition of this house is, and I'll show you some things that are going good, some things that are going bad. So let's check it all out. Starting with my backyard. So as I already mentioned, this guy started freaking building the house right when we moved in, and originally this was all wooded. So I put a wrought iron fence here and wasn't worried about a privacy fence because I put in this wrought iron fence and it was wooded. Well, of course they tore it all down, and then I just had a 4-foot wrought iron fence separating me visibly from the neighbor. And what a disaster. So I decided to plant 40 of these bamboo plants. So this is what they all came out looking like, roughly 5.5 foot tall, 3.5 foot wide. I planted them in September, and these bamboo are invasive bamboo, but they're great for a privacy border wall. And of course, whenever I planted them in like September, going into the fall and then the winter, and then now we're just coming into the growing season, several of them got pretty shaky. Like all the leaves fell off. I was like, my goodness, I just wasted some money. I'll tell you, the cost on planting this wall was like $12,000. But I was serious. I want privacy for my family. I want some security. So I plant these, and about half of them go out. I was like, wow, what a waste of money. Well, now they're starting to grow back, and not only grow back, you can see that these plants are supposed to grow like 3 to 5 foot per year. So right now they're roughly 5 foot tall on average. You see this is a brand new stalk, like came up this week. They're starting to grow now that it's March. Here's another brand new stalk. Here's another brand new stalk. And this stalk has grew this high in the matter of literally a couple weeks. I don't know, I think, because I've never seen this one before. And so given they're all 5 foot tall now, over the course of the next growing season, the next 6 months, I'm hopeful that these will all be roughly average of 8 foot tall, which from my backyard and my living room and my patio, that means they would be equal with probably the top window line of the neighbors, which would be great for privacy. We couldn't see them and they couldn't see us. So that's one drastic change here at the property. Let's go, let's take a look right here actually. Good job, baby. So this here is a project I decided to take on some of my Sundays, because even though I try not to work on Sundays, sometimes I can't help myself. So I make myself busy. And this is, I don't know the name of it. I call it the trellis wall, but obviously I have some planters down here, and I'm gonna plant a plant called fig leaf ivy, which is a climbing plant. So I'll plant one here in the middle, one there, and one there, and then those will naturally climb up the wires and cover this entire wall, making a diamond pattern plant, which is gonna be really unique. Unfortunately, I don't know how long we're gonna live here, because my next home build may require me and my family to move, but I guess the family that moves in here will get to enjoy that trellis wall. Something I put in some thought, some calculations into, and some effort. So here's the backyard. Obviously you can see we started to like potted plants. We have a potted plant along every single wall. Nothing's really been too bad about the home. I'll show you this thing, because I'm sure y'all are curious if you're an OG here on the channel. Is I put landscape all the way around the house, rock beds, plant beds. So you can see everything has this pattern here, where it has roughly a 2 foot wide rock bed, 2 foot wide mulch bed with these dwarf Japanese yews, and then another 2 foot of rock, which probably wasn't the smartest in terms of maintenance and upkeep, because my landscaper, I may pay him, I don't know, $70 to come out here and mow the lawn every week. I pay him like an extra $20 just for maintenance on this little feature, because he's got to come in here, pick out the rocks like this right here. If mulch gets over in here, he may throw that back in there just to keep it looking as good as possible. And with that, there's only 2 areas that are like this right here, which is somewhat of a drainage problem, because the rocks over there are a little bit lower than the mulch bed. So as you can see, we just mulched all of this, which mulching this entire house, I think I paid like $600 to mulch all this so that the plants have protection and nutrients and whatnot. And here we go, a rain comes, and since this is the main area the only area that has a real drainage problem, the water could not flow out, therefore it just washed out the mulch. So that's something I'm gonna have to get addressed somehow. Let me know if you have any ideas down in the comment section. Either I could raise the elevation of the rocks by moving the rocks, bringing in some more dirt, and then adding the rocks back to lift that up, making it higher. Or I could simply add in a catch basin and a pipe to get the water out. I personally would rather raise the elevation of that back there. That's the only place that is a problem with mulch washing out. The only other place, there's a downspout that gets a lot of water, and I disconnected it from the underground drainage pipe so the water would dump out by the house and it washes the mulch out. So I really just have to connect it back to the downspout that runs an underground pipe. So that's about it on the exterior. The exterior still is looking sweet in my opinion. And there's not really much to show on the interior, so I'm not gonna even take you in there, but my wife is cooking up some dinner, so let's go make sure she's doing things right in there. Doing good, baby. Look at the camera. Get a bite.
Good bite.
Good job. All right, We're here in the kitchen built by the man himself. How's the kitchen working for you there, Chef?
It's going great.
All right, what are you cooking today?
Pasta.
What kind of cheese is that?
Parmesan?
Parmesan cheese?
Yes.
Okay. Tell us about the meal here. What are you preparing?
Some pasta sauce and some grilled chicken. Healthy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Back up, baby. Back up. Scoot your booty back. Scoot back. So how are you? So tell us how you're staying healthy here. How are we doing the whole food diet? No processed. Tell us about kind of what you got going to stay healthy.
Yes, no processed food. Cooking, that's
Okay,
it.
we got grilled chicken,
onions,
noodles, onions. What other ingredients we have? We have some cheese.
a little bit of chicken broth, a little bit of this. Little.
Can I tell the story?
Sure.
Okay, I'm telling the story. So about this might be the moment in time where I said we have to make a change in our life. So we're eating chicken Alfredo one day, and I'm scarfing this down. I'm talking about I ate a freaking bowl as big as that right there. And I'm like, this is unreal. I mean, you can't buy it this good at a restaurant. I'm like, what did you put in there, Shelby? What did you put in there? That is unbelievable. Comes to find out, she used a whole carton of heavy whipping cream. So I think it was just a matter of, well, once I realized that, I was like, well, no shit, it's that good. So I think it just took a little bit of conversation between me and my wife on the topic of health and what is actually healthy. But now we're using whole foods, stuff that the ingredient label only says one word. If it says ingredients that you don't understand, then you probably shouldn't use it and be eating it. So that's what we cooked with now, and whipping up some chicken Alfredo now. So my wife is an incredible cook.
Yeah, with the whipping cream. You look good. You cooking?
You want to talk to him? What you want to say? Say something.
She wants to eat the feathers.
Can you say, I love you, Dada?
I love Dada.
So the front of the exterior of the home really hasn't changed much, neither has the interior. We've just been breaking it in. But as y'all can see today, I'm actively working on planning my next project. And it's not just my next project, it is a massive project. So I'm looking forward to building a bigger house, making more money, building better quality homes. And with that will come much higher quality content and more abundance of content. So I appreciate y'all. As always, if you're looking to learn how to get into home building, how to learn how to build your first house, then click the link in the top of the description to check out my masterclass and community bundle. I'm in there every single day now that this is my full-time career. I'm helping people get started as first-time home builders. So go check that out if you're interested. Other than that, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on my future videos. I appreciate y'all. Stay tuned for my next project. Deuces.